In the world of sports, some games are remembered for greatness, others for heartbreak. But on February 5th, 2017, one game became both: Super Bowl 51. A game that started with dominance, spiraled into disbelief, and ended in utter chaos. This is the story of the Atlanta Falcons, the New England Patriots, and the night 28-3 became more than just a score. It became legend. The road to Super Bowl 51 was anything but straightforward. To understand the gravity of what happened on February 5th, 2017, you have to understand how these two teams arrived at that moment and what was on the line. Let's start with the Atlanta Falcons. Coming into the 2016 season, they weren't on anyone's Super Bowl radar. Sure, they had talent. Matt Ryan was a former first-round pick with a strong arm and plenty of experience. Julio Jones was widely regarded as one of the most gifted receivers in football. But this team had finished 8-8 the previous season. They were seen as middle of the pack, dangerous on paper, but inconsistent in practice. Enter Kyle Shanahan. In his second year as offensive coordinator, Shanahan's system clicked. The Falcons' offense became a juggernaut, scoring over 30 points in 11 different games. They averaged nearly 34 points per game, a feat that hadn't been seen since the 2007 Patriots. Matt Ryan threw for 4,944 yards, 38 touchdowns, and just 7 picks. He posted a quarterback rating of 117.1, the fifth highest in NFL history at the time. Julio Jones was unstoppable. Freeman and Coleman, the backfield duo, were electric. The offensive line gelled, and the defense, though young and inexperienced, was fast and hungry. They finished 11-5, earned the number 2 seed, and steamrolled their way through the playoffs. They destroyed the Seattle Seahawks in the divisional round. Then, in the NFC Championship, they embarrassed Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, 44-21. It wasn't close, it was dominance. Matt Ryan was named NFL MVP. Kyle Shanahan, a lock for a head coaching job. They were on fire. Then, there were the Patriots. Where do you even begin? The 2016 Patriots were on a mission. Their season started with controversy. Tom Brady suspended for the first 4 games due to the lingering fallout from Deflategate. Roger Goodell had handed down the suspension the previous year, and Brady, ever the competitor, served it with a vengeance burning inside. Without Brady, the Patriots still went 3-1, behind backup quarterbacks Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett. That's how good this system was. That's how prepared Belichick had this team. When Brady returned in Week 5, he went scorched earth. He threw for over 3,500 yards in just 12 games, tossing 28 touchdowns against a mere 2 interceptions. The Patriots finished 14-2, the best record in the league. Their playoff run was clinical. They dismantled the Texans in the divisional round. Then they handled the Steelers in the AFC Championship with a 36-17 rout. It was all falling into place. Tom Brady was chasing history, his 5th Super Bowl ring, more than any quarterback in NFL history at the time. Belichick was going for his 5th as a head coach. The Patriots weren't just looking to win. They were looking to cement their dynasty as the greatest of all time. And hanging over it all, like a ghost in a tailored suit, was Roger Goodell, the commissioner who had suspended Brady, who had dragged the Patriots through years of litigation and public scrutiny. If New England won, Goodell would be the one handing Brady the trophy. The tension was cinematic. On one sideline, the brash upstart, the high-flying Falcons with their MVP and their offensive mastermind. On the other, the cold, calculating dynasty, hell-bent on revenge and legacy. It was youth versus experience, fire versus frost. And the stage was set. February 5th, 2017, NRG Stadium, Houston, Texas. The 51st Super Bowl. Falcons, Patriots, only one would be remembered. The opening moments of Super Bowl 51 were tense, electric, and, at first, deceptively quiet. No one knew they were about to witness the greatest comeback in NFL history. At kickoff, all eyes were on the legends. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, the evil empire. But for the next 30 minutes of football, it was the Atlanta Falcons who played like they were writing the script. The Patriots won the toss and deferred, Belichick's classic move. let the other team strike first, save the final word. Atlanta's first drive, a quick 3-and-out. New England took over and immediately began playing Patriots football. Brady operated from the shotgun, picking apart the field with short, rhythmic passes. Edelman on a slant, Hogan on a comeback. They crossed midfield with relative ease, but then Atlanta's defense announced themselves, fast, physical, and relentless. Led by rookies like Deion Jones and Keanu Neal, the Falcons' defenders swarmed. The Patriots stalled, and Steven Gostkowski missed a 41-yard field goal, wide right. It was a sign. Something wasn't quite clicking. And the Falcons, they were just getting started. Matt Ryan took the field for the second drive, calm and confident. Atlanta began to slice the Patriots up with Shanahan's trademark misdirection, jet sweeps, inside zones, bootlegs. The Patriots' famously disciplined defense looked a step behind. The signature moment came on a cutback run by Devonta Freeman, who exploded through a gaping hole on the left side for 37 yards. The run gashed the Patriots and put Atlanta in scoring range. A few plays later, Freeman punched it in from 5 yards out. Touchdown Falcons, 7-0. And it was only the beginning. The Patriots responded by marching back down the field. This time they looked more composed, more like themselves. But on a 3rd and 5 near the Falcons' 40, Tom Brady made a rare mistake. He threw to Malcolm Mitchell on a slant, and Deion Jones, the rookie linebacker, punched the ball loose. Fumble, Falcons recover. It was a dagger, not just a turnover, but a tone setter. Atlanta was faster, hungrier, making the splash plays that New England usually owned. Ryan, given another short field, wasted no time. He hit Mohamed Sanu on a shallow crosser for 19 yards. Then, on the very next set of downs, he dropped back, executed a flawless play-action fake, and found rookie tight end Austin Hooper streaking down the seam. Ryan lasered it in. Hooper secured it through contact, and Atlanta was up 14-0. A rookie tight end in the Super Bowl against Bill Belichick, 14-0, Falcons. The Patriots couldn't believe it, but things only got worse. On the following drive, New England moved the ball with more urgency. They were nearing midfield again when Brady tried to force a pass over the middle to Danny Amendola. This time, Robert Alford was waiting. He jumped the route, snatched the ball, and took off. 82 yards, the second longest interception return in Super Bowl history. Brady gave chase, diving in desperation, but it was hopeless. Touchdown. Pick 6. Falcons 21, Patriots 0. It was surreal. A blowout in the first half. Brady with a pick 6. In the Super Bowl, he hadn't thrown an interception in a Super Bowl in over 200 pass attempts. Now he had thrown one backbreaking one. The crowd erupted. The stadium buzzed with disbelief. The internet exploded, and the cameras caught it all. Patriots fans slack-jawed, Falcons fans dancing, Robert Kraft glaring down from his luxury box like he'd just watched a car crash in slow motion. To their credit, the Patriots finally answered. On their next drive, Brady marched them downfield with clock-like precision. Short outs, middle curls. A scramble that reminded people he wasn't done yet. But after stalling in the red zone, the Patriots had to settle for 3, 21-3, a number that didn't comfort anyone in navy blue. Then came halftime. The Falcons jogged into the locker room with swagger. Smiling, fist bumps. They dominated all 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. They were a half away from their first Super Bowl win in franchise history. Matt Ryan had thrown for 2 touchdowns and no picks. The Falcons' defense had forced 2 turnovers. The Patriots' offense had been outgained and outcoached, and most shockingly, Tom Brady looked rattled. On the other side of the stadium, the Patriots were silent. Belichick's halftime speeches are famously short. This one was probably shorter, but it's what happened on the field next that mattered. Because as Lady Gaga descended from the stadium roof in one of the most memorable halftime shows in Super Bowl history, the real show, the comeback of a lifetime, hadn't even started. Super Bowl 51 entered its second half with a sense of finality. The Falcons had dominated. The Patriots were trailing by 18 points, and it should have felt like the game was still alive. But the energy was different. People weren't just surprised by the score. They were resigned to it. Brady looked mortal. Belichick looked boxed in. And Atlanta, well, they looked ready to dance on the Patriots' grave. The third quarter began with a kickoff to the Falcons. They wasted no time making a statement. We're not done scoring. On the opening drive, Ryan picked up right where he left off. A quick pass to Mohamed Sanu for 15 yards, then a beautiful rollout and strike to Taylor Gabriel, who left Malcolm Butler spinning with a filthy double move that gained 35 yards down the sideline. The Patriots couldn't keep up. The Falcons were fast, confident, and aggressive, playing with that intoxicating energy teams sometimes get when they think the game is already over. Then, on a 3rd and 6 from the 6-yard line, Ryan dropped back. The protection was perfect. He scanned left, saw Tevin Coleman slip into the flat, hit him in stride. Touchdown, Atlanta, again, 28-3. That was the score and the moment. If you say 28-3 to any football fan, even those who barely remember who played in Super Bowl 51, they'll flinch. They'll smirk. They'll immediately remember that this was the game. Because 28-3 wasn't just a lead. It was a death sentence. Or at least, it should have been. At that point, win probability for the Falcons hovered over 99%. In Super Bowl history, no team had ever come back from more than 10 points down. Not once. The Patriots were down 25. On Twitter, the memes were already flowing. Falcons fans were tweeting champs in all caps. ESPN analysts were writing eulogies for the Patriots dynasty, calling it a fitting end. And Arthur Blank, Falcons owner, had left the box and taken a position on the sideline. The trophy was practically in his hands. But then, something shifted, and no one noticed it at first. Comebacks don't start with fireworks. They start with a spark, a fumble recovery, a missed block, a single cut that gets the chains moving. And for the Patriots, that spark came in the form of a quiet drive, beginning with 8:31 left in the third quarter. Down by 25, Brady stepped onto the field with the type of blank expression that says, "We're still here." He connected with White, then Edelman, then White again. The tempo started to increase. The huddles got shorter. The routes got quicker. It wasn't flashy. It was surgical. 1,000 paper cuts to Atlanta's defense. But the Falcons were playing soft. They were protecting the lead, letting New England move the ball, as long as it took time off the clock. Brady led a 13-play, 75-yard drive, chewing over 6 minutes off the clock. Not ideal, given the deficit, but it ended the right way. James White, the unsung hero of this game, took a short pass into the end zone for New England's first touchdown. Finally, something. But even that wasn't clean. Gostkowski missed the extra point. It was now 28-9, with 2 minutes and 6 seconds left in the third quarter. Still a 3-possession game. Still a mountain. But the Patriots were climbing. The third quarter ended with the score still 28-9. As the final quarter began, the stadium buzzed with a strange nervousness. The Falcons led by 19 points with just 15 minutes to go, and yet it didn't feel safe. Tom Brady took the field again, this time after another quick Falcons possession. Their offense, once explosive, had stalled. The tempo had changed. The Patriots moved quickly, Brady in no-huddle mode, orchestrating a series of completions to James White, Chris Hogan and Julian Edelman. A crucial screen pass to White moved them inside the red zone, but the Falcons' defense held firm, forcing a 4th down deep in their own territory. Rather than force it, Belichick took the points. Stephen Gostkowski knocked in a 33-yard field goal. Score, 28-12. Time remaining, 9:48 in the fourth quarter. Now it was a 2-possession game. Barely. Still needing 2 touchdowns and at least 1 2-point conversion, the Patriots weren't celebrating. But everyone watching could feel it. They weren't going away. On the next drive came the play that cracked open the Falcons' armor. Dante Hightower. The Falcons took over at their own 10-yard line after a penalty on the kickoff return. They still had a 16-point lead. All they needed was a few first downs, a field goal, or even just to burn 4 to 5 minutes off the clock. Instead, disaster. On 3rd and 1, Shanahan dialed up a pass, a bold call with everything on the line. Matt Ryan dropped back, and Hightower blew past the right tackle, untouched. Blindside sack, fumble. Patriots recover. Just like that, the Patriots had the ball back inside the red zone. The comeback was no longer a theory, it was real. Brady wasted no time. Short pass to White, incomplete. Then to Amendola, complete. Then again to White for a quick burst. Then on 2nd and goal from the 6-yard line, Brady took the snap, waited for the coverage to clear, and rifled it to Danny Amendola. Touchdown. Patriots, 28-18. The Patriots lined up for the 2-point conversion, and this was the moment where the momentum fully turned. Shotgun snap. Brady faked the handoff, pitched to James White, who powered through 2 Falcons defenders and dove across the goal line. Conversion successful. Score 28-20. Time remaining 5:56 in the 4th quarter. The scoreboard showed a 1-possession game. The Falcons, once ahead 28-3, now clung to an 8-point lead. The energy on their sideline was no longer joy. It was tension, disbelief, maybe even panic. 28-3 had once been a monument to domination. Now it was a ghost, a curse, a number that started to haunt the very team who built it. With just under 6 minutes left, the Patriots had taken the Falcons to the edge of collapse, and they weren't finished yet. The Patriots had done the unthinkable, clawed their way back from a 25-point deficit and made it a 1-possession game. The stadium, the sidelines, the world watching, everyone could feel it now. The pressure, the moment. With under 6 minutes left in regulation, the Falcons were no longer in control. They were trying to hang on. But Atlanta still had the lead. They had the ball. And all they needed to do, quite literally, was not screw it up. First play. A masterpiece. Matt Ryan dropped back and spotted Devonta Freeman, split out wide. It was a mismatch, a linebacker trying to cover one of the quickest backs in football. Ryan hit him in stride. Freeman caught it in space and bolted down the left sideline for 39 yards. Suddenly, they were in Patriots territory, 1st and 10 at the New England 49. Then came one of the best throws of Matt Ryan's career. He dropped back again and saw Julio Jones, tightly covered near the sideline. Ryan let it rip, a deep, arcing throw that only Jones could reach. And Jones made one of the most insane catches in Super Bowl history. Fully extended, tiptoeing the sideline, dragging both feet while securing the ball mid-air. It was a catch so absurd it looked animated. Gain of 27. Falcons now at the Patriots' 22-yard line. Clock 4:40. At that point, the math was simple. Even with a field goal, the Falcons go up 2 scores, and the Patriots have no chance to tie it. Just run the ball, bleed the clock, kick the field goal. You're Super Bowl champions. But then, the unraveling began. 1st and 10 from the 22. Instead of running it, Shanahan, in a now infamous decision, calls a pass play. Ryan drops back and gets sacked. Trey Flowers blows past the Falcons' O-line and swallows Ryan for a loss of 12 yards. Now it's 2nd and 23. The Falcons are out of field goal range. Okay, run the ball, get a few yards, make it manageable. Instead, another pass. This time, Ryan connects with Mohamed Sanu for 9 yards. Not bad, but wait. There's laundry on the field. Holding, offense, 10-yard penalty. Now it's 3rd and 33. The drive is dead. The field goal is gone. The clock stopped. The air, gone from Atlanta's lungs. Just minutes ago, they were in easy field goal range, with the greatest wide receiver in football making circus catches. Now, they were punting. This wasn't just poor play calling, it was self-destruction. It was trying to be aggressive when the only winning move was patience. The Patriots got the ball back with 3:30 left, 91 yards from the end zone, needing a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie. And what came next was pure Tom Brady. First play, short completion to Chris Hogan. Second, dump to White, gain of 7. Third, strike to Edelman. And then came the catch. The catch, you know the one. Brady dropped back and fired over the middle. The pass got tipped, ricocheted into the air, and 3 Falcons defenders converged. The ball hovered like it wanted to hit the turf. But Julian Edelman dove, arms under bodies, hands under the ball, and somehow, impossibly, caught it inches from the ground. Replay needed to confirm it. 5 camera angles, zooms, pauses, slow motion. But yes, he caught it. 21 yards, first down. Even Falcons fans couldn't believe it. Julio Jones made a catch to win the game. Julian Edelman made one to steal it. The Patriots kept rolling. White for 13. Brady to Amendola. To White again. The defense was gassed. The comeback machine was running at full speed. Then, with under a minute to play, James White bulldozed his way into the end zone from 2 yards out. Touchdown, Patriots, score 28-26. One final play to tie, 2-point conversion attempt. The Patriots came out in shotgun. Brady scanned, then threw a quick dart to Amendola on a flat route. Caught, in tie game, 28-28, clock 0:57. The Falcons got the ball one last time, but it was over. Their offense was broken. The Patriots' defense was surging. They couldn't move the chains. They barely tried. Regulation ended, 28-28, the first overtime in Super Bowl history. There are moments in sports that defy logic, moments when everything you thought was certain evaporates, and all that's left is momentum and belief. The Falcons had built a 25-point lead. They had written the story, but they forgot to finish it. Now, the Patriots had the pen. A 28-3 lead. Gone. History. Ghosted. What was once a coronation for the Atlanta Falcons had become a nightmare, live and in HD. When regulation ended, the score was tied 28-28. And for the first time in 51 years, the Super Bowl was going to overtime. The stadium was stunned. The Falcons looked hollow. The Patriots looked hungry. But before anything else could happen, there was one final chance for fate to intervene. The coin toss. The officials brought both teams' captains to midfield. The call was made. The coin was flipped. Tails. New England wins. They didn't hesitate. We want the ball. Of course they did. Belichick knew. Brady knew. Every single player on that sideline knew. If we get the ball, this game is over. The Falcons never saw the ball again. Brady jogged out to start the drive. His face, stone cold, no smile, no drama, just business. First play of OT, pass to James White, 6 yards, then a quick dart to Amendola. First down, tempo up, defense reeling. Brady to Hogan, 18 yards. The Patriots were now across midfield. The Falcons' defense, exhausted, was missing assignments and arm-tackling ghosts. Then came another throw, Edelman on a deep crossing route. First down again. No panic, no deep shots. Just pressure, pressure, pressure. 5 yards here, 8 there. Death by paper cut. The Patriots entered the red zone after a 10-yard burst from White. Now at the 15-yard line, the entire stadium rose to its feet. Everyone could feel it. This wasn't just a comeback. This was a seizure of destiny. Brady didn't just lead a drive. He dismantled a defense. He unmade a game. He erased everything Atlanta had built, one throw at a time. The next play, White again, off tackle, 10 yards. Down to the 5-yard line, first and goal, silence on the Falcons' sideline. They knew. Brady in shotgun, snap, hands it to James White. White cuts right, stumbles through a defender, pushes forward, reaches out, breaks the plane, touchdown, game over. Final score, 34-28, Patriots. No fireworks, no flags, no booth review. Just the cold, inescapable finality of the greatest comeback in football history. On the sideline, Belichick cracked a rare smile. Kraft stood stunned, arms outstretched. The Patriots players mobbed each other in disbelief. And Tom Brady, he fell to his knees. Not from exhaustion, from everything. Suspension, doubt, revenge, legacy. He had just thrown for 466 yards, the most in Super Bowl history at the time. He'd led 5 straight scoring drives to end the game, and he had just secured his 5th Super Bowl ring, more than any quarterback had ever won. In one of the most lopsided games in Super Bowl history, the lopsidedness flipped, and it happened all in the second half. Meanwhile, the Falcons watched in silence. Dan Quinn stood motionless. Kyle Shanahan, head buried in a play sheet, had no answers. Matt Ryan stared at the turf. Julio Jones paced in disbelief. There was no villain. No excuse, just collapse. Roger Goodell walked awkwardly onto the podium, greeted by a chorus of deafening boos. He handed the Lombardi Trophy to Robert Kraft, the man whose franchise he dragged through Deflategate for 2 full years. Kraft took the mic and delivered a line for the ages. This is unequivocally the sweetest. In sports, we often speak of legacies, of greatness, of impossible odds. But Super Bowl 51 wasn't just a football game. It was a lesson. That no matter how far you're down, how bleak it seems, it's not over. Not if you've got time. Not if you believe. And definitely not if you've got Tom Brady. When the confetti settled at NRG Stadium, one team held a trophy and the other held history. But not the kind you want. Super Bowl 51 didn't just end with a comeback. It ended with a shift. A shift in how we talk about football, how we define greatness, and how we define collapse. Let's start with the Falcons. Because to understand the weight of this game, you have to understand what it did to that team. This wasn't just a Super Bowl loss. This was a historical unraveling. They had it, they held it, and they blew it in real time on the biggest stage in front of 100 million people. And the fallout, it came fast. Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator and architect of that unstoppable Falcons offense, had already accepted the head coaching job for the San Francisco 49ers before the Super Bowl. His final act as OC, calling a pass play on 2nd and 11 instead of running the ball and kicking a game-clinching field goal, a decision that, fair or not, became a symbol of arrogance, or panic, or both. He was asked about it for years. He still is. Matt Ryan, fresh off an MVP season, was never the same. He remained one of the league's top passers, but the shadow of 28-3 followed him, constantly. Every comeback, every blown lead, every post-game interview seemed haunted. The media never let it go. Neither did fans. Dan Quinn, the head coach, lost control of the team's identity in the seasons that followed. Atlanta never fully recovered. In 2020, after yet another infamous blown lead, this time to the Cowboys, Quinn was fired. By then, Falcons fans had been through enough heartbreak to fill a documentary series. And then there's Julio Jones, the lone Falcon who did everything right. He made the catch. He showed up when it mattered. And yet, even his brilliance couldn't save it. Eventually, he too left Atlanta, traded away as the Falcons tried to rebuild from the ashes. 28-3 didn't just change the outcome of a football game. It altered the psychology of a franchise. Every late lead the Falcons held in the years that followed felt fragile. Every fourth quarter brought flashbacks. That number, 28-3, became a punchline they couldn't escape. On the other side, New England celebrated like emperors. Tom Brady now had 5 Super Bowl rings, officially passing Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw. And this one, it felt different. Not just because of the comeback, but because of the context. This was the revenge tour. Deflategate had made Brady a villain. This game made him a god. 466 passing yards, a 25-point comeback, the first overtime win in Super Bowl history. He was now, undisputedly, the greatest of all time. Bill Belichick added another jewel to his crown, master of halftime adjustments, king of clock control, architect of chaos. He didn't say much, he never does, but his smirk at the post-game presser said it all. Robert Kraft stood on the podium and smiled like a man who had just outlived every hater on earth. Even Roger Goodell, forced to hand the trophy to the team he'd spent 2 years investigating, had to eat it. The boos when he walked onto the stage, deafening. The moment, poetic, but the impact of Super Bowl 51 went beyond just the people on the field. It changed how football fans view momentum. It reminded coaches, No lead is ever safe. It made teams scared to stop attacking because they saw what happens when you play not to lose. In a weird way, it broke trust in the game clock because everyone now had a new fear. What if we're up 28-3 and it's not enough? Super Bowl 51 gave birth to a meme, but that meme carries weight. It's printed on t-shirts, burned into Twitter jokes, tattooed into the hearts of Falcons fans, a scoreboard, a scar. For the Patriots, it was just one more brick in the dynasty. They'd go on to appear in 2 more Super Bowls in the next 3 years, winning another title in Super Bowl 53, a 13-3 victory over the Rams. Less dramatic, more methodical, but Super Bowl 51 was the crown jewel. It was the comeback that proved no moment was too big, no deficit too deep, no legend too far from growing. If you're just a football fan, this was the game. The one you talk about when someone says, "What's the craziest thing you've ever seen in sports?" You know the answer. You saw it. 28-3 will live forever.